Hello, Carl here. So, just want to do a quick video to kind of reflect my first experiences of sports photography, in as much as I started doing the sports photography, admittedly delayed because I had a bit of it organised before the first lockdown. But then once we exited the first lockdown and sports at lower levels resumed, um, that's when I kind of started my sports photography journey. And if I remember rightly, the first event I did was mostly Ashfield Cricket Club second team in a home game, which was walkable from where I live. And then after that, I arranged to go down and do the first team at Moseley Cricket Club, and I remained with them for the season. Even did a couple of away games. That was fantastic. Got some really nice cricket stuff. Ended up getting invited to the end of season dinner and awards ceremonies, which was beautiful. At the same time, I'd arranged before lockdown to go and work with Redditch United. So I finally got to do that when they got back in pre-season training and friendlies and stuff. And into the season, which has been cut short now till the start of the middle of December. But we'll be back on the other side of it. I'm loved down there. I don't just cover the first team; I cover the women, the youth setup. So yeah, I'm trying to pride myself on being the club photographer. And doing bits of everything now. I've done a kit launch as well, did a halftime presentation thing, the one game, and I love it down there. I've also done a couple of training sessions with Birmingham Rockets ice hockey side before lockdown a year or so ago. Maybe 2 years ago now, I did a wheelchair basketball game that was streamed live on the BBC. Also did a wrestling night locally. So yeah, I mean it's been there for a while, but obviously I've been quite dedicatedly on the sports stuff between lockdown one and lockdown two. So yeah, still very early on in my journey, still learning from mistakes, still learning from experiences. Haven't really found where I'm comfortable with shooting position wise, certainly with the football. I primarily started behind the goal, but now I'm kind of straying towards a spot on the sideline, somewhere between the corner flag and the penalty spot ish. Still just it's a bit of suck it and see. I'm still trying things, um, trying different methods, positions, gear, just to try and kind of fine tune what I'm doing and work out my preferences and what works and what doesn't work. And there'll be, spanners in the works that present themselves. For example, we played Nuneaton at home, the Redditch United boys, and it was torrential rain. I'm talking like if a fluke storm came in, amount of rain. I wear a thermal layer under my trackies, and the rain had even gone through my skin, of which there's quite a bit because I'm carrying some excess weight, and soaks me to the bone. Saw off my waterproof gear, and I abandoned post at half time. I got to half time and I was like, you know what? I'm soaked through. My waterproof system wasn't up to the task. I don't want to go out in the second half and get my stuff soaked. I'm done. The lads scored just before half time, and I got a goal celebration, and I got some action stuff in the first half. So I thought, you know what, I'm out. Um, Went back to the drawing board then in terms of getting some proper waterproofing, um, reflecting on it, working out what I could do differently next time. And that's all it is. It's the first time I've been out in terrible conditions like that, so I didn't know how I was going to handle it till I was in that situation. And I had to do the same with the cricket as well. When I did the Moseley cricket lads, I started off. I always have a stationary lens on the wicket for the bowling and batting, so I can get in close, get some really good detail stuff. But I was doing it the first couple of games, and I noticed that there was a car park behind the end of the ground I was looking towards. So I was getting like cars and portaloos up there, and it was just ruining the photos in terms of background. So then after a couple of games, I then went, to that side and stood just in front of the porta cabin in the car park and shot towards the pavilion where there was all trees. So obviously there's a better background going on. So you learn things as you go, don't you? And you're in the world of sports photography. You'll meet new people on the touchlines that have maybe been doing it longer than you, and you can pick their brains and they'll give you advice. And I've got a lovely guy I speak to called Simon, who was he started where I was a few years back doing non-league at Redditch, and now he's with an agency that's sending him into championship games and stuff, and potentially Premier League games. And he messages me regularly when his time allows, and he'll give me little pointers here and there, things to try, things not to try. Maybe it's I've seen this shot of yours, it's a bit noisy, why don't you try this to reduce the noise? And yeah, that is fantastic. And obviously you'll find that sports photographers, a majority of, are lovely, lovely people. I mean, I swap emails with, and he's doing me a Q&A response video. There's going to be a vlog post. Dickie Pelham, who is a superstar of the sports photography world. He's been the Sun's in-house sports photographer for 30 years. And if you think of some of the most iconic sports photos of the last 30 years, from like Euro 96, massive boxing match moments, Olympic Games, all sorts of other stuff, there's a good chance Dickie Pelham's took that photo. If it's not him, it might be one of the other complete superstars of the sports photography world, Tom Jenkins, and there's a few others as well that I cited in my previous video of inspirational photos that I look at. So yeah, lockdown 2 we're now in, and I guess I'm using it to let's go back. So when I started doing the sports photography this year, let's talk gear. So I was using my Fuji X-T1 with a couple of lenses. I was using Lightroom CC to edit, and I was using my backpack. So the Fuji X-T1 and the lenses I had were perfect for the cricket all day long, because there was a telephoto lens which was getting me in on the wicket, and there was a handheld, I think it was a 200 or 300 zoom lens, and I mean, its lowest aperture was, I think it was 5.6, and it ranged between 5.6 and something like 11, depending on what focal length you had it at. You couldn't dictate the focal length to it, it moved. No, you could dictate the focal length, sorry, but it stuck the aperture to the focal length. You didn't have any control over that. But for the cricket, they're playing light summer conditions, spot on, daytime pre-season friendlies and stuff at Redditch, brilliant. The problem is, I tried it out with night games and night training sessions, and I didn't find the ISO system on the Fuji X-T1, the ISO performance, that great. My images were very noisy, and obviously 5.6 isn't a low enough aperture in dark conditions. So I looked at lenses for the Fuji that do that job, and you were looking like anywhere between £1,000 and £1,600. And I'm not blessed financially. I'm skint constantly, so £1,600 is a hell of a lot of money. So then I kind of got speaking to a couple of people, got musing a couple of ideas around. Remembered the time when I had a Nikon D3300. And I think it was a Tamron 7300 I had on there. It only had a 4.5 aperture, but I photoed some indoor stuff with that, and it was beautiful. And it came out minimal noise. And I also did the Birmingham Jazz Festival the other year. We're in a lot of like dark pubs, dark corners of dark pubs, and the ISO performance was stunning. So I thought, okay, could I go back to Nikon? So I tried picking up a cheap, I think it was a Nikon D300 or D3100 I got. And I picked up I think it's a 7200. Nikon lens, 18-year-old lens, but it's got a 2.8 aperture. Stuck it on the D30, whatever it was, 3100. Realised that body hasn't got a built-in motor, and neither has the lens. So couldn't use it. But then my good friend Kevin Maslin said, "You want to borrow my D7-100? That has a built-in motor that'll work with the lens." So yeah, I'll give that a go. Fell in love with the lens and the camera and what it could do. And before long, Kevin said, "Do I want to purchase it off him?" And he's got, I think it's an 18-150 lens he can throw in, so that gives me a wide option as well. So yeah, so absolutely. So we've done that. At the same time, my friend Simon, my mentor Simon, had said to me, because he was a problem with Lightroom CC. My work process was solely in Lightroom CC because it wasn't compatible with anything else, and I couldn't work out how to lock images in the Fuji. So say I came away from a cricket game or a football game with, let's say, 1,000 photos on the camera, I'd then have to load them into Lightroom CC on a laptop that only had 4 gigabytes of RAM. I did push it up to 6 gigabytes of RAM, but it didn't make a great deal of difference for Lightroom CC. Lightroom CC would then have to import the 1,000 photos into an import screen. The thumbnail in which was tiny, and there was no way of changing that, so you wouldn't be able to see if you got your stuff in focus. So you'd still have to import several hundred photos, just, because they look like a good frame, they look like a good composition, and that they were potentially in focus, but you didn't know for sure if they were in focus, so you could get them open fully and have a look at them. And just in the import screen, it'd take forever to load them all up, raw files, generate the previews, all that stuff, put them in the cloud. It was a long process, awfully long process. If you see some of my earlier videos from the cricket season, I think at one point he got his knickers that twisted. I had to leave it overnight before I could even then whittle, because the next stage was then the whittled down batch, several hundred. You put them into your workspace on Lightroom CC. I think I left it overnight doing that. Before then, the next stage of whittling down, which was going through the several hundred, checking they're in focus, losing ones that weren't, getting down to a final batch to edit. It was a long process. So Simon and a couple of others I met along the way said, "Why don't you switch to Lightroom Classic, which is the traditional Lightroom, and get Photo Mechanic and lock your images in your camera for Photo Mechanic, and it'll just speed everything up immensely." So that's what I now do. So there's a lock button when you're previewing in camera on the Nikon, which basically protects a frame that looks like it's an absolute belter. Brilliant photo in focus, all that stuff you want to work a bit later on. So you lock the image. So straight away then, I've got, a selection of photos locked on the camera. You put the SD card into Photo Mechanic and it ingests, which is the same thing as importing in what's on the card. And there's an option, only ingest locked images. So instead of ingesting 1,000 images, there'll maybe be 100 images that I've locked that look great at the time, and it'll just bring those 100 in. And in comparison to Lightroom CC, then it's so quick. Like, you double click on the first one and it'll open up a window where it shows it more or less full size, and you can flick through quickly with the left and right arrows, hit delete on the keyboard, it's gone. It's almost instant. So that's a lot quicker whittling down there to a final batch to work with. And then when you've got your final batch to work with, it's worth mentioning as well, let me backstep a bit, when you ingest locked only, you can also set up a metadata template with all your metadata from the day, your location information, all that stuff. And when it ingests, say, the 100 shots off the SD card that were locked, it'll instantaneously apply the metadata with variations as well. that you can preset to all the images in one go. So they're all there. You haven't got to go through the images individually to apply it. It's just done on ingest. And then basically when you've gone through with your left and right arrows, you're deleting and you've got your final batch that you want to edit, you open Lightroom Classic and all you have to do is drag them out of Photo Mechanic into Lightroom Classic and they're there. And you can go straight into develop and edit them. And then what I do, which is even quicker at the moment, is I'll get onto the image, I'll do my crop, so it's composed how I want it, my frame's filled how I want it. And then at the top of the exposure menu, I press auto exposure. And basically that will, if it's not absolutely spot on, which a majority of the time it is, and you don't have to do anything else to the image, it's normally 70–80% there. So you've only got to tweak a tiny bit and it makes the process so quick. It's unbelievably quick, which allows me then to hit the next part of my development, which is being able to edit pictures pitch side and get them straight into the club's Dropbox. Something I tried in our last home game. I took some photos to warm up, and before kick off, those 5 photos were in the club's Dropbox, and I'd done a social media post. Half time, I took I think half a dozen shots from the first half, and I got them finished, put them in the club's Dropbox. Obviously, half time's 15 minutes, so I didn't have time to do a social media post, but the club have other volunteers to do social media stuff, so I just thought, you know what, one of them guys can pick up the social media posts. They've got the shots from the first half in the Dropbox. And then at within full time, there was an additional 6 photos within about 20 minutes in the Dropbox, uploaded onto social media. And then I got home later on and got the rest of the shots done before I went to bed. There was no urgency on that because I had an initial 6 shots to attach to match reports and crack on with. So, yeah, and I could only do that. The laptop I was using originally, I said with 4 gig of RAM. 6 gig of RAM was a big hefty thing and it was not ideal for lugging around and using pitch side. The battery life was poor. So I've invested in a new laptop with 8 gig of RAM, better battery life. Got a hell of a good data package going on my phone that I can use as a portable hotspot pitch side. So already in a few months between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, I've kind of grown a hell of a long way already. The next stage would then be getting my pitch side editing time down even more. So maybe say I find a way of getting a goal celebration online within 5 minutes or something like pros would do. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. I also need to... I mean, my settings are balanced fairly well at the best of times, but some images are still quite noisy. So perhaps I need to work on fine-tuning that a little bit. It's functional at the moment, but I can make it perfect. And I will strive to make it perfect. And I want to learn a couple of new techniques as well, like, you know, pan shifting and stuff. So there's still lots to do, but I've come a long way. And now I'm going to show you 20 of my favourite shots that I've taken so far and kind of just give a brief explanation as to why I like them. Please like and subscribe. Check out the Twitter, the Insta, the Facebook. And also go to www.kwo-fi.com/champics, www.kwo-fi/champics to make a donation towards me to help me grow the business in terms of equipment because of my lack of resource. Any donations are welcome. The donations start at £2, and any little help is massively appreciated and would mean the world and more to me. I will speak to you soon. Hopefully got them couple of Q&A videos coming any day now. One with Mark Curtin, one with Dickie Pelham. And I've emailed a few other sports photographers like Rob Sambles to see if they'll kind of do a Q&A video as well. If not, I'll think of some more original content to do through lockdown 2, just to keep in touch with you guys. But for now, enjoying my 20 favourite photos so far. Not saying they're my best photos, you might not like them, but they're 20 that I personally love. And I've printed for myself and put on my wall, and I'll give a brief explanation as to why I love them, even if no bugger else does. So yeah, stay safe, speak soon, cheers. So here we go, 20 of my favourite photos so far. So we start off with one I took at Stratford-upon-Avon races, and I didn't actually get access to the race course. Nobody can in the current situation with COVID. But if you walk along a cycle path out of Stratford-upon-Avon along the river, there's a vantage point there, gaps in the trees and stuff. And that's how I've got this photo. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Next shot, okay, so this is a Redditch United friendly in pre-season. At the time they had Jermaine Pennant as a trialist with them, who's taking the free kick here, Jermaine. I'm a big Birmingham City fan, and obviously he was a huge player for us, that we eventually sold to Liverpool, and he went on to play in the Champions League final there. He's got a bit of a celebrity status around him as well. He's done stuff like Celebrity Big Brother, so to see him down on a pitch where I was photoing and say hello to him and meet him as well was fantastic. And the thing I love about this shot is it's clearly a free kick. You've got the wall, you've got the ball in motion, you've got the foot there where he's took it. And I adore that shot. Okay, next shot. This is one from Moseley Cricket Club. This is one of the bowlers. The thing I like here is you've got the ball nice and still and almost sharp. I think it is quite sharp actually. And you've got the bowler the same, and he's got his eye on the ball, and you've got the motion of him bowling. So I absolutely love that shot for that reason. Next up, another Moseley Cricket Club from the same day. This is one of our batsmen, unfortunately, being bowled, as you can see. Thankfully, he was a good sport. I showed him the photo afterwards, and he said it was a cracking shot. It's just unfortunate that it was the team I was supporting, Moseley, whose fault it was. But you've got the pin sharp stumps and bails there, and kind of got him looking back behind to say what's happened. And you've got the emotion of the wicket keeper as well. That kind of, that joy. So yeah, that's I like that photo for that reason. Next up, another Moseley Cricket Club. This time they clearly bowled out one of the opposition players, and this is their celebration going on back here. And I kind of love like a couple of the faces. It looks like they're looking back to him and laughing and smiling. The captain there. I love that. I love contrasting emotions in sport. So you'll have one winner and one loser, and this is the winner. This is the loser, Okay, this one. This was the one and only Birmingham City ladies game that I've done so far, and it was against Manchester United. And I think the thing I like there is the motion of the cross going in and the defender sort of shrugging away from it so as not to get hit in the face or something. Next up, Moseley Cricket Club again, the bowler from earlier who got bowled. This time he's hitting the ball, and you've got it just as the ball's hitting the bat, and you've got the shadow of it as well. So yeah, I absolutely adore that shot for that reason. Next up, this was Redditch United away at Banbury. This was a possible penalty. It wasn't given in the end, but it kind of captures a moment where he's going over. You've got his facial expression, the ball's over here nice and sharp. The defender's doing whatever he's doing there. So yeah, I like that shot for that reason. Again, Banbury away. It was first away win of the season. So this is the gaffer showing some emotion at full time and fist pumping and celebrating. He's out of focus, but I don't think that takes away from the photo. You can tell what's going on. And obviously one of his players is finding it quite amusing. And his coach. So yeah, I think that's a really emotive expression of winning. This was at home to, I think it was Biggleswade, again, Redditch United at home. And you can see the goals happened here and the celebrations going on. And I'm pretty sure it was this player, if not one of his teammates, he's possibly looking toward. They've took a bit of a chance and seen the keeper off the line, a bit of a fluke shot, and it's gone in. And this is kind of him reacting to the fact that it's unbelievably gone in. I love that emotion. Same player, same game here. Here he is taking on a defender. I love how the ball's in motion, how the ball's pin sharp. You can even see the RUFC of Redditch United Football Club. Yeah, that's just a great attacking photo. This was full time in a match. This was a home win, and this is the lads celebrating, led by the captain, to the fans who are behind me there. Funny story, I actually started off on this side of the boys, the far side of the boys, and I saw them doing this, so I darted around the back of them and almost gave myself a hernia to get in position to get this shot. This was St Ives Town away with Redditch. This is the captain Tom, and he's winning a header there for the team, and you can see the ball pin sharp there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. This was Redditch United women at home, I believe, against Doncaster Bells in the FA Cup, and I just love how I've froze the motion here on this bit of skill and this high pass, and the ball's pin sharp and all that. I love that shot. And this was St Ives Town away with Redditch again. This was 3 minutes in, right in front of me. And your man here, Kieran, he argues that he was coming out of a challenge and his hands went near his face, which is what the referee saw to send him off. But then your lad down here has overacted it and completely milked it. And Kieran's almost saying, like, what the hell do you think you're playing at? And the captain's trying to mediate there and keep things nice and calm. This comes down to that contrast of winning and losing again, and the mix of emotions. You can see it's a penalty shootout from the teams lined up. This was against Doncaster Bells for Redditch women. You got the penalty misser there, and her head's in her hands. You know, she's just lost the shootout. This was literally, you know, the winning moment of the penalty shootout, and you got the goalkeeper celebrating. So yeah, I love the contrast in emotions again. This one was Redditch United at home to Nuneaton. The game I was on about earlier with the torrential rain. And this was the first goal, and the celebrations just before half time, when I obviously abandoned my post having got thoroughly soaked. But you can see the driving rain. That's not noise, that's pure rain. You can see the lads are drenched, but they're still celebrating the goal with a lot of emotion there. And yeah, that's a great photo. Again, contrasting emotions. This is Solihull Moors women at home against Bedworth. They've just gone a goal up, and okay, they're out of focus and they're celebrating and stuff. And this is the Bedworth captain with her head in her hands. You know, winners, losers. This one was a youth game that I did in the driving rain, and I just love that you got the motion of the tackle going in and him getting his cross off. Kind of holding him off as well. I love the energy of that photo. This one was Redditch United women at home to Boldmere. This was a bicycle kick that happened towards the end of the game. Got disallowed. God knows why it got disallowed, but I caught kind of the moment of the bicycle kick. The ball's just come off her foot. You can kind of see that. Yeah, I love that photo for that reason. I think that's all the photos for now. So yeah, hope you liked them.